Well, it gives me great pleasure to have this interview tonight because Lyall Cooper, it's been a while since my contemporary, who is wearing a Tottenham Hotspur t-shirt, I have done this. I mean, those people that started following us in the midst of COVID will be well pleased to see a rejuvenation of the partnership, because I hasten to add that between us, Neil, and Lyall, we found quite a few extraordinary winners, Neil, and it's such a pity that, and there's no reason to, if you'll dine out on that, the jockeys told me at the function on Wednesday night that still remember, particularly because we're running this promo starting from Thursday, and no better time than to get a top tipster on board, and we regard goes to you, Bet.
That was the most amazing thing, because we got to those two races and they said, no, we won't lose. And I said, are you serious? And we ended up tipping them both as our value bets and then our best bets, and all three of them came through and won. So, I mean, we really are, as a team, very good at finding value, and no better than Neil. So that's great to have Neil on show as well. Value is what we strive for.
After the Lord Mayor's show, I can't beat that today. Well found, Gentleman Joe. Yes, I found it in my own jackpots, but I'm not so sure would have tipped it as an outright winner. So well done to you guys. So yeah, I'll see if I can maintain
about had them
a daunting career sport. Tonight, early hours finished. Tomorrow's an early hour finished. So you know what?
But you do, that's winner.
It's a good story, because I know we want to get on, but Lyall will recognize this. So I found, believe it or not, they had the Australian PGA golf. Nico knows I love my golf, and Lyall knows as well. Yeah. I found the winner, a guy called Elvis Smiley.
Brilliant. Now, Neil, the main thing is, the reason why we've got you on is mainly to talk about you and what you like on the card. So I'm going to lead, and Lyall, feel free to with a bit more about that towards the end. But what do you fancy anything there? Do you have a leaning towards anything?
No.
No, okay.
No, Lyall doesn't know this, but I phoned Nico for all the viewers earlier today. I said, please don't ask me about race one. It's a lottery. It's 2-year-olds. It's the first 2-year-olds. What I would do on the day is I'd like to see what they look like and how they go down to the start. But you know as well as I do, there'll be 3 horses catching pigeons. Nico's already heard of one. I'll be interested to know what there is. I mean, there's some fantastic pedigrees. But no, I can't help you. I'm interested to see the Eric the Red run. I'm interested to see the 12 run, which is the one world out of a Cahal mare. You know, the Mousquetaire was the son of Cahal, so I'd be interested about that. Richard Ferree rides. But no, I couldn't help you with race 1. And to be brutally honest, I mean, you guys can carry on with race 2. I didn't think race 2 was any easier either. To be honest, I was just thankful they weren't in the PA's races 1 and 2.
It's very, very tough. The second race is Second race is tough.
It is. First race is Neil's so right. To stay out, you wouldn't do yourself any harm. In race 2, the only good thing about race 2, there is plenty of value. And I found it, which we'll discuss. I think there's very good value, which Neil likes.
And I have too. But we're going to leave it there, because you can subscribe to the direct line and get our info for race 2. Third race, Neil? The Pinnacle Stakes.
Well, now we start getting busy, because now we're into the plate accumulator. Pool's going to be great on the day. The third race, well, Dave the King is all quality. You've got to ignore that last run. In many respects, I'm pleased. I don't know if it was Mike's intention to ever run him in the Summer Cup, but I'm glad he hasn't, because I just don't think he's a 2,000-meter horse. I know he won at Grable over 1,800, and he won well, but I think the 2,000 is back to a Pinnacle Stakes. I mean, he represents. But I also have to respect Unzen, the 2-horse, because Gavin is reunited with him. He's ridden him twice and won twice. He's drawn 3. He's getting 4 kilograms from Dave the King. So if Dave the King isn't at his absolute best, and he might still not be, then I thought Unzen would be some value. But I looked at the betting today and actually was a bit short in the betting. So I went down and I took a few Yankees today. Unzen, when I got to where I went, was going to be in my play, but I think he was 7-2, 4-1, and you know,
it's about 70.
I thought, to be honest with you, I thought I'd get 6-7 to 1, but his course and distance, Nico, Lyall, he's had 7 runs there. He's won 3 times. I'm ignoring the last run. He was drawn 14 out of 14, and he over-raced and he was wide. Everything tells you about that. So from a PA point of view, 1 and 2, I'm sure, would suffice.
Yeah, Neil, you mentioned Pierre and Gavin. Gavin Arena and Pierre Stradum are both sitting on around 27% strike rate for the season. So they are, on paper, the best 2 jockeys in the country at the moment.
Yeah, and Gavin's riding well. Even in Cape Town, he's riding well. For what it's worth, I don't want to release what I'm saying later too early, but I think Gavin Lorena is going to have a very good day. I like a lot of Gavin's rides.
Okay, let's go.
Can I throw a bit of a lurker, Nico?
Yeah. In that race.
I mean, I think the interesting horse, obviously the specialist is pretty exposed for our good friend Lance Michael, and now of course Lawrence has bought into the horse and Lawrence's partners. He's a nice horse, but he's drawn 9. He's got a kilogram overweight for the services of Cabello. I think he'll run a nice race, and he's only carrying 51s. He's getting, what is that, 11 kilograms from Dave the King. I think he'll be competitive. Really,
is that we will share our selections with you well ahead of time.
Okay. Thanks, man.
And what I would like to add is I thought this race was very difficult, to be honest.
Yeah, but you mentioned
I'd agree with that.
You liked a horse strongly here, didn't you?
I do, but I wouldn't be bankering it, I promise you.
Okay. So, Neil, would you like something strongly, or you think it's open?
I do think it's open, but having said that, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go narrow in the PA. I'm only going to go 2 horses. I might add a third, but I think I'm going to go 2 horses, and I'm hoping one of them, you don't have to tell me A or nay, Lyall, but I like the 1 and the 2 horse. Mrs. Browning I like, and I certainly like White Pearl. I really liked White Pearl. I've always felt that White Pearl is better than she produces a 3-year-old and should make a better 4-year-old. I think Pierre knows her. And I know it's a drop back to 1160, but she's got class, and I think the penny's dropped now. So, and I think Pierre suits her. So, for me, those are my 2 PA horses. Separate them. Well, it would depend on the value. And I think White Pearl was quite short. In fact, I do know because I actually put Mrs. Browning in my Yankees. Mrs. Browning was 7-1 I got. So those are the 2 I like, 1 and 2.
Well, you have lost.
Yeah, they're good prices, both of them.
You have lost none of your touch, my friend. That's all I'm saying there.
Yeah.
None of your touch have you lost.
All well had,
because it's very much in focus, in line with what we like. Anyway, La likes one, I like the other. I guess you can guess which one I like. Anyway, let's move on to race 5. The New Turf Carriers Merchants over 1,160 meters. Now, we haven't spoken about this race, La, but did you like anything strongly here? Oh, we did, actually. We did speak about this.
I do certainly like a roughie here. But I suppose we could play short, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. But I like a bit of a roughie here.
We spoke about the horse Lucky Lad carrying 63.5 kilos, Neil. Possible or impossible?
Well, of course, it's possible. It's definitely possible, but I'm going to take him on. Listen, I mean, it's possible because he loves Turfendale. He's had 8 starts there. He's won 5 of them, course and distance, 3 out of 4. But 63.5, and I know it's a sprint. People to say, "Oh, sprinters can carry." You still got to carry the weight. So, listen, from a pick 6 point of view, you've got to put him in. But I'm going to look to take him on. I'll be interested to see or hear what your roughies are. I'm going a bit deeper. So, the previous race, I acknowledge is open, but I'm going to go narrow there with the 1 and 2. Here is perhaps some people might think it's not as open, but I'm actually going a bit wider. Pistol Pete is very interesting to me. He's only got 52. Last time, Greaterix is very highly regarded. We'll see just how good he is later on the card. But he was giving 9 kilograms to Greaterix last time, Pistol Pete. 9 kilograms. That was a great run. I think it would have brought him on. And yeah, I think he's lost his way a bit, but maybe he's come back to his best. The draw of 11 is good. Cabello's riding well. He's only got 52. I like him. I like him a lot. I respect him. But and around that, there's some older horses. I'm going to throw a few at you. I think Sheldon will run well. He's not the type of horse that I've ever gone for, but if you have a look, repeatedly he pops up. I think he'll be on the premises, Sheldon, particularly with Gavin Larena riding. Blinkers come off, which is maybe a good thing. And the other horse, which I was surprised to see at 33-1, is Magic Tattoo, because on lines through rulership, on some of his best form, he's slung in with only 53.5. So to answer your question, I'm going to play quite wide there. I'm going to try and beat Lucky Lad.
And I would be in the same camp. I'm just not going to tell you who I like just yet, but I would be in the same camp. I'm going to try and beat Lucky Lad, even though we all want Lucky Lad to win, but I'm going to try and beat it as well. Are you the same, Lyall? You're going to try and beat Lucky Lad?
Yeah, very much in the same camp. Very much in your camp. 63, big weight.
Yeah. Neil, do you want to talk about the
six? Just to establish. Sorry, last thing, Nick. I mean, I've mentioned the 4 or 5 horses that I've gone. I should establish I'm going field there in the jackpots. So I'm going to go probably my first couple of choices and then cover. So when I say field, I'm putting in the likes of Melik, I'm putting in Quantum Theory. I think any of those horses can pop up. Red Bomber, all of those. Obviously, you've got to respect Cat Pajamas. I mean, Frank Robinson's doing a great job for Sid Mudley. And because we often talk, I've said to you for a year, Sean Veal's the most improved rider. There's a few improved riders. Sean Veal is certainly the head of that. That's drawn 14, no weight. So I've mentioned some that I like, but I'm going to go wide. I'm going to make sure I don't go out there in the jackpot.
The cardinal error you'll do if you do go out is not taking the horses that are receiving as much as 11.5 kilos. So all those horses at 52, regardless of whether they're out of the weights or not, they're receiving 11.5 kilograms, Neil. And if they drawn, now I'm a firm believer, and I don't care what anyone says. I call races there. I've called races there for many years. Jockeys have attacked me or come to me and said, you're talking rubbish. I'm a firm believer that the outside on the stand side track up the straight is the preferable going. And if you stay there, or if you make your challenge there, you've got an advantage. I want more jockeys to try it instead of moaning at me about it.
Yeah. Well, let's not get started on the jocks.
Including senior jockeys like Stradham, who Lyall knows I have a bittersweet argument with every time we go to every racecourse about the draw. Okay, anyway, let's cast our mind onto the Grade 3 Betway Fillies Mile, Neil. Anything strong there?
I wouldn't say strong. My first choice is Fatal Flaw, despite the draw of 12. I don't really know what to make of this, to be honest, because VJ's Angel, if it was level weights, then VJ's Angel probably would be my first choice. But the reality is that Fatal Flaw gets 2 kilograms. And on a couple of lines through Quid Pro Quo, you've then got to be with Fatal Flaw. Again, Pierre, you see, he's riding so well. You know, people who say, but he doesn't, he does this and he drops his hands. I don't care. I think it appears in the hunt. He delivers when he can, and he's just a genius. He remains a genius. And to be honest, I'm going to be slightly controversial here, but I'll say it. With the thinning out of ability in the jockeys' ranks, therefore, some of the riders who 10 years ago wouldn't be in the top 20 now find themselves in the top 10. I mean, we are fairly thin on the ground in terms of quality. And this has played right into Pierre's hands. I mean, the man's a genius. So Fatal Flaw would be my first choice. VJ's Angel I respect. I found I don't want to say it's a shrewdie because I'm sure it's in the betting. I haven't looked. I think you've got to respect Fiery Pegasus, actually, because I think Ocean Murphy might be one of his better rides. I know he's drawn 15, but, if he drops her out, she might be on the Quid Pro Quo and even the VJ's Angel debut.
Her last one was very good.
Last run was excellent. Yes,
Mm.
excellent. Getting a lot of weight, but a good run. I respect World of Alice. That's about as deep as I went. There was one Shrewdy I thought, which Aldo's riding, drawn well, the 3, Selenio Peninsula, because I think that the extra 200 would suit her pedigree. You all know Negro Amaro. I think
Yep.
Negro Amaro ran in the Oaks, Nico.
Yep. Yeah, she did.
So the extra 200 is going to suit her down to the ground. And she won her first 2. She wasn't far behind Mia Moo. And yes, she got well beaten by Fatal Flaw and is only a kilogram better off. But I think the extra 200 and drawn 3,
Yeah.
that I took places on that today. It's 33 to 1. I think I got 7 to 1 a place.
You know the link there, though.
Okay.
You know the link. What's happening there is because obviously Andrew Fortune works for Lawrence Werner's in the stable, and who better to go to than your own son?
Yes.
Talk about the ride. So that's the link there on that one. Before we go further, and I agree with you with that horse, because I think I've always rated her, and I'd love her to run a big race. I think it's a wonderful price. I didn't know her price was 33 to 1, so I may just be pausing this to have a quick wager. Just very quickly, we have to get this out the way, Neil. So I'm just reminding everyone that, and I don't know if you can see this up on the screen at the moment. Just let me know if you can or you can't.
It hasn't arrived yet. It says that you're starting screen sharing. While it's coming up, Nico, this thing I learned over the years from none other than the ringer, Robert, because I've seen him do it time and time again. Sometimes I don't necessarily like a particular horse, but you go through the betting and you see a horse like Selena Peninsula at 33 to 1, and it just seems the wrong price. So I'd be surprised. Yeah. So like you, I mean, you said straight away, I'm surprised she's 33 to 1. So was I, which is why I took a few places on it and a couple of wins.
Okay. That's not working, unfortunately, so we'll leave that for a later spot. But let's go on to the Dingons. Grade 2, always a top race, and used to be a Grade 1 in its day. Is the horse like Greatrix past the post? Do we bank this?
This is one of my favorite races on the card.
It is,
by the way.
Yeah. Neil, what are your thoughts here? There's lots to be said about Greatrix and his performance, but I mean, is he a good thing?
What's the other one? Heather's Boy.
Yeah, the other one.
That one from the yard.
Yeah, but they've decided to go to the Guineas.
I know.
Guineas with Heather's Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that for me, I mean, everybody's on the Greatrix train. I'm with Heather's Boy. I think of the two of them, what I've seen. Also, well, you and I, Lyall, I think, are exceptions to the rule. Everybody's barking. I'm not saying Greatrix couldn't also be a champion. He's done nothing wrong, but I'd like the other one. It's interesting, as Nico knows, they're taking that to the Cape Guineas.
Yes.
Now, I haven't spoken to Mike. I haven't spoken to Johan and the team, but that kind of tells me that in their pecking order, unless there's reasons, maybe the one's maybe got a better temperament for travel, I'm not sure. But the reason I say that is I'm not going to bank a Greatrix.
You just broke up there, Neil. I don't know. Were you still with us?
Neil's broken.
Yeah, he's broken up there. Hopefully he comes back. What did you make of this race while he's coming back with us? Are you still there, Lyall?
I'm here. He was just saying that he will take on Greatrix. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
And while we're waiting for him, I agree with him. I think Heather's Boy is going to get beaten. That'll be my horse. But this is a great race, isn't it, Nico? I mean, I'm sure he'll bring up quid pro quo. I mean, what has she done wrong?
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's getting, what is she getting? She is going to be getting 50 kilograms from Greatrix.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Neil, are you there?
Okay, we'll just wait for Neil. So while we wait for Neil, because he seems to be having a problem with his connection, apparently. Let's just remind you, and you can tell me if you see this, Lyall. for people to come on board, we were mentioning at the start of the show how we do all our packages and that. Remember that there are two packages that you can get involved in, the one for 200 Rand or the one for 100 Rand, Lyall. And this is the person to speak to. We've got Bella on that number there, 079 390 5747, and hopefully you can see that. Have you got all the details there? Can you see them?
Yeah, now we can see them, Nico. Perfect.
Yeah. So that's who you need to get hold of. Lyall and I, unfortunately, not tipping on this particular program, but that's who you need to get hold of. Still trying to see where Neil is, because he's going to come in and hopefully share with us his Summer Cup feature, because now we've done the Dingons, or he said he wasn't going to banker Greatrix, but we're interested to find out what he's doing with the Dingons and then with the Summer Cup. So hopefully he comes back in any second.
Let's hope he does, and yeah, they must get involved. We're going to find some value for them, and hopefully we'll give them the fix for Saturday, because that's going to be 7 million.
Let's just resume. So yeah, hopefully we're back on, and I'm not sure where Mr. Andrews is, but hopefully Zoom gives us some leeway, because he disappeared completely. But we were talking about the Dingons. Just quickly, whilst we wait for Neil to see if he does come back. Summer Cup, we've obviously spoken about the Summer Cup at length on various platforms and that. How many horses are you narrowing it down to in your mind now, with a few days to go? How many do you see fighting it out?
Myself, Nico, I've got 4 written down.
Okay, 4. So one of 4.
I know you've got 3, I've got 4.
Well, I say I've got 3, but ultimately I had 5, and then Mr. Benny Langer from Racing Today is trying to get me to narrow that 5 down. So I went to 4. Ideally, I'd want 4 in. Here's Neil, by the way. Here he is. Let's see.
There we go.
Let's see. Hopefully we can fit this in. Neil, if you can hear us, I know that we still haven't mastered the art of this technology, Neil. We battled in the 2020 to 2022 when we did Clock in the Gallop. We're still bloody battling. That's what we're doing with the connection.
I think it's signal, the signal, I don't know. Yeah, I have to say, where I stay, I mean, I go up the road, there's probably 7 robots between my house and the highway, and every morning 6 of them are out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know whether that was, so apologies.
Whilst we've got
So what was the final ruling on Greatrix? I mean, and quid pro quo? Did you chat after I left?
No, so we were waiting for you. So what do you think? What do you think there?
Well, I'm going the 2 horses. I'm only going the 2, Greatrix and quid pro quo. I might sneak in Fire Attack, who I think drawn 4 is better than his last run. I'm ignoring that last run. Don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I quite like him as a horse. I've actually I put him as places in my place Yankee, number 1, Fire Attack.
All I can tell you is that the connections were dreadfully disappointed for his last effort. I mean, they
good.
So was I.
They said they did not know what happened, and they said that obviously if he does not atone here, then they haven't got the racehorse they thought they had, which is very, very.
Well, they'll have to geld him, but just very quickly, he beat Cosmic Speed, who I rate very highly. He beat him at level weights, and he got trounced by Pistol Pete, but I think he's improving. So he's my roughie in the race, the 1 Fire Attack.
Right, technology evades us. It's always been a problem. Neil and I still haven't gotten used to it. But anyway, we're on to the big one, the Betway Summer Cup. Whilst you were missing in action, Neil, a bit earlier, Lyall and I quickly chatted in terms of how many we can narrow it down to. So we start with 20. Could I ask you that? How many you narrow it down to? Or is it too wide a subset?
So you're talking first, so there's a quartet carryover. I don't think you can narrow it down from a quartet point of view, because I think a couple of outsiders might sneak into 3rd and 4th. So I think if you the way I'm going to play the quartet, I'm going to play a couple of options, but my main perm will be narrow for the victory, a little bit wider for second, a little bit wider for third, and then quite wide for fourth. So in that sense, I'm not narrowing it down. But in terms of winning the race, yeah, I've narrowed it down.
Okay, so you were quite confident at the start of the show. I mean, everyone professes to being a good tipster. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we've proven it before when we found Flying Carpet and no one mentioned it that year. We looked like heroes. But I mean, can you repeat that for the team this year?
Well, not at that price. So here's the interesting thing. The horse that I'm going for, I've always respected. And he hasn't been bad to me because I've never copped him. But so here's the story. I took a lot of anti-post. You know, I like anti-post positions. I had a lot of anti-post positions, and very few of them were on this horse. Although in the back of my mind, I thought, well, he's got to be a runner. But now that I've studied, I wish the computer form had come out earlier and I'd seen what I'd seen, because I'm now all over Royal Victory. I cannot believe the price of Royal Victory. And let me explain to you why. You all know, people know that I've always been a big See It Again fan. I remain a See It Again fan, and I think he's probably improved since his gelding. But he ran last time against Royal Victory. I watched the race. It was a pinnacle. Yes, he beat Royal Victory, but Royal Victory was never smashed by him. He was sitting just behind him. He wasn't closing, but he also wasn't being run away from by See It Again. Now, on that occasion, Rachel Verniker took 1.5 kilograms off. So, in actual fact, Royal Victory was giving See It Again 1.5 kilograms. On Saturday, he receives 3 over a track and trip that he's unbeaten of, 2 from 2. I mean, how See It Again is 23-20, and Royal Victory, when I started backing, was 11-1, is beyond me.
Yeah.
So we talk about value, but I think there's no contest in value.
But Neil, how is that possible when you're going to look at that last run? Bear in mind, it was over a mile, though. And this is over 2,000 meters. But Royal Victory has the added advantage, Lyall, of loving turf and tone. See It Again is never sniffed. It's not sniffed Boyson's Road, let alone turf and tone.
Correct.
Yeah, I like this horse last year, even at the big price, by the way, Neil. I've always liked Royal Victory. Always been one of my favorite horses.
Yeah. So Neil, that's
and obviously. Yeah, I just wanted to say that people would say, oh, it's a terrible draw. Yeah, it's a draw of 15, but he's not the horse that needs to go handy anyway. So if you have a look last year he actually, at the 800 meters, he was 14th anyway. So Gavin's not going to chase him wide up the hill. I don't think it's as big a problem as people think. But it's not just on that last run, Nico. I mean, if you do your studying, I mean, if you go through the July, if you go through, he's got Winchester Mansion smashed. He's got all of them smashed on multiple lines. It's unfortunate Muzzy obviously isn't there to pick up the ride, but Gavin is going to be a great replacement, a stand-in. I can't believe he's still 9-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable.
In terms of the roughie of the race, you got a particular roughie?
Well, I mean, I've gone on, haven't I, about Royal Victory, and I stand he'll be my clear first choice. But I do respect dangers. I think the fillies are well in. You know, all of these fillies, there's not much between any of them. Silver Sanctuary, Beating Wings, and Francis Ethel, they're all much of a muchness. And I'm wary that one of them steps forward of just 54 kilograms, because as well in his Royal Victory is carrying 57 with some others, he's still got to give 3 kilograms to the 4-year-old fillies. And you got Oisin Murphy riding Francis Ethel, who, let me say, was given a very quiet run. Let's call it that. An exception. I've never seen anything quieter in my life in the Charity Mile, so I'd ignore that.
If she'd won that race, she would have carried 56 here. So they want this race. They didn't want that race.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a little bit the same with regards to Silver Sanctuary. There's never been much between them. Beating Wings has never been much. And even if you push it, I mean, you're pushing now to a horse who I don't think has got the quality. But My soulmate has never been that far behind. And you know what? If we all know it's a big field, if you get bulked for a run at any stage, that can cost you a length or two, and then it can bring other horses into the race. So all of those three fillies, of the three, JP van der Merwe was riding very well in Cape Town again today. I've got to respect Silver Sanctuary. I would probably just elevate Frances Ethel because she's beaten her before. Well, she actually ran fourth to her, didn't she, when Silver Sanctuary won, but that was under Richard Fourie. I just think I'm a bit wary of the fillies, Nico, that they could come and ruin my day.
But you're a Royal Victory man.
Yeah, definitely Royal Victory, particularly at the value. So to explain, I told you I took an anti-post position. I've taken a very strong anti-post position on Silver Sanctuary and in particular Frances Ethel. So as it stands, although I'm tipping you Royal Victory, I actually want Frances Ethel to win because I got more money to come with Frances Ethel. But come race day, that might be a bit different. I've got a bit of a place position on Purple Picture, who I think is quite well in off 55.5. I think Turffontein suits him. He's a tough, hard, knocking individual. He's only got 55.5. I expect him to be handy from an 8 draw, and he won't be stopping up the straight. So I thought he was a 28-1, I think, in anti-post. That was also a big price.
It's quite funny listening,
That's
Nico,
me.
because I know Nico and I are smiling, Neil, because we've had this chat, and let's not give too much away, but we're smiling with Neil's comments, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm smiling with Neil's comments because it's exactly the way that I thought that he'd read it. And there's no real surprises there. But what is great about this is that we've heard your opinion, Neil, and you've been very forthright with your summations of the race that we have chatted about. I know you'll be following this some way because you love your racing. You follow it day in, day out. And Lyall, if ever there is a guy that wears his heart in his sleeve when it comes to punting. He's not shy to tell people wherever he might be racing what horses he likes, and some people think he's off the wall, but when the horses win, the people turn around to him and say, how on earth did you find that? But Neil, thanks for your time this evening. I know you've got to rush off to do some football, but we greatly appreciate you coming on and chatting about the big day Saturday with us.
Thanks, Nico. Thanks, Lars. It's always a pleasure chatting to you. We always go into big races with firm opinions. I hope that they arrive. Someday you literally go home without a bus ticket. I hope Saturday's not one of those. I'm very much now with Royal Victory. Although for my pocket, I hope that Ocean lands with Brett Crawford or Purple Picture wins. But come Saturday, I might be in a different position because certainly my exotics, I'm going to go for Royal Victory.
Okay, well, that is currently 7-1, but there is another 7-1 that you mentioned on the show that I'm very bullish about. But punters will have to find out whilst you were away. We did show them the slide to phone, but there is another 7-1 shot I like very much on the day, which you like too. Anyway, Neil, Lyall, thanks for your time. Enjoy the weekend's racing.
Thank you.
We'll catch up with both of you again soon. Neil, we must get together for lunch.
Thank you, Neil.
Absolutely. Neil. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Well
guys.